Welcome back to the Star Stuff Podcast, where we talk all things Star Wars. My name is Colin.
And I am Josh.
I'm just kidding. I'm not talking like that. Yeah. How's it going, guys? There is a lot to, talk about. There was San Diego Comic-Con that happened this past weekend. That was really cool. There were a lot of toy reveals there. And then also Wednesday of the 27th, we got people finally can go do the Bounty Hunter experience over at Galaxy's Edge in Orlando, Florida, which is really cool.
Very
because
exciting today. Very, very exciting.
It is exclusive to Orlando. It's not at California. We finally
not yet, at least.
Yeah,
not yet,
so
at least.
Don't do that. They already have so much. So
finally, something for Orlando.
Right,
we got
exactly. We got one when they've got bounty hunters and all that stuff. They actually have bounty hunters over there, so it's hilarious. But in other news, Jedi Survivor March possibly leaked because of PlayStation. And then you have Knights of the Old Republic. It looks like it is on the indefinite pause. It's paused. It has been paused, and then the game shut down, and then you try and reboot it, and then then you have to restart from where you're going because you didn't do it right. Like it's not happening. It's not happening. It sounds like. And Josh and I are going to break down everything. So let's start with San Diego Comic-Con. We got a lot of Marvel news, which was expected, and we didn't get that much Star Wars. And the reason why is because most of the stuff that we got from Celebration, we'll get some of it at D23, but more. So think Ahsoka. Think.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it's going to be on that side because it makes more sense. Where it's like,
right?
They're like, hey, Comic-Con, comics, Marvel. Let's just release all the Marvel stuff here. If you want to at least break it up, because my goodness, there's so many trailers and whatnot, and we got Phase 6 and all that other stuff. So I'm like, there's no need for us to just dump insane amounts of Star Wars stuff here. Just do little tiddlywinks everywhere. Well, that would have been nice. That's basically what we got.
Yeah. And for San Diego Comic-Con, we got some things with Andor, which is cool. I wasn't expecting that much because again, we've got the new we've got the 23 happening and we'll have all that fun news. But at San Diego Comic-Con, we got a lot of toy announcements from Hasbro, and there are a lot of exciting new Black Series coming out. I particularly I'm very excited for this one right here. I'm going to pull it up, and I think Josh is too. Is this bad boy right here? Cal Kestis
with stubble and clean hair and fixed lightsaber.
Yep. And we still really don't know what the plot is really going to be. We just know that it involves some new Inquisitors and some new Force wielders, and then there's a guy in a tube that has some white hair. Who is he? We don't know. And then we have this new Darth Vader lightsaber that is coming out, which is the Black Series as well, and it comes with, I believe this is the first Black Series one where it's not like one that they have over at Galaxy's Edge where you have the custom ones that you can make as Savvies and you can put the crystal in there. This is the first one where it's like an actual known saber where you can put the crystal in it that is Disney licensed, because they definitely have ones that are licensed that are for the movies and stuff where you can take it apart and it's like a $600 lightsaber. But this is one of the first ones, and then they have a couple of the old retro stuff. They are doing the 40th anniversary. They'll be doing the 40th anniversary stuff for Return of the Jedi. And then you also have a couple of fan favorite Black Series figures that are coming out. So that was a lot of stuff that dropped at San Diego Comic-Con. That's what David talked about on Sunday's podcast. but today we're going to talk about this. Jedi Survivor recently was put up a kind of indicator of what the game will be like and everything on the PlayStation Marketplace, and it showed that it was going to be a March release date. And as soon as they put it up, they took it down. But a lot of people took, pictures and everything. So a lot of people are saying that, that it's a maybe. But if PlayStation puts up that date, most likely it's going to happen. The way that I see it is that I'm surprised that it would be in March, because I thought it would be maybe in April or maybe just after Star Wars Celebration of next year. So I didn't think it was going to be before it, because I thought that would be something they would present at Celebration, not before it, because everyone loves that game. That's a huge deal. That game did so well, like the first round, and this second one is very anticipated. So we're very, very excited to see what happens. I'm hoping that we get more characters that are new, but I'm hoping that we at least get a cameo from someone that we do know. Like in the first game, we got Saw, and that was really cool to see. And then we also got Tarful, and then we had like a small cameo of Obi-Wan and the holocron, telling all the Jedi to stay away. But what character, what OG character that we already know that has been established in the films, the show, would you want to see in Jedi Survivor?
I honestly don't think it'll be like a original trilogy. I think they're going to start throwing in more sequel trilogy characters. You're going to see, like, I feel like you'd see someone in a younger form there who, not exactly for sure, but I think because this is taking place when it's like full on rebellion, or is it? Yeah, like there's this
no. Well, shoot, I don't think we know the actual, like, we know it's going to happen after the events of the first one. We don't know how far.
Just close. That was closer to the beginning. There wasn't a full on rebellion just yet.
Right. And he looks slightly older because of the first game takes place 5 years after the events of. Yeah, it takes place 5 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
So this one probably, goes further down the line. And there's that sand planet and the teaser that dropped, at Celebration. So, Tatooine, could he run into Obi-Wan? Maybe. But, we'll see. I don't think people would be too thrilled if we went back to Tatooine.
No.
In a game. Honestly, if we did, I would want to go to somewhere in Tatooine that we haven't seen yet. That's why I was okay with going back to Tatooine and Book of Boba Fett, because we saw parts of Mos Espa that we've never seen before.
Oh no! Please, I can't go back there. Please, no more. Please. I remember when you're talking about how the new season of Mandalorian goes there, and I was like, no more, please.
Yeah, I know.
If you're gonna go there, just pick up Boba and leave. That's all I need you to do is be like, oh well, hello. Have him come down in his robe, say 2 words, and then you're out. That's all I need.
That would be really funny. But yeah, so if I could see an original character who, honestly, if we wanted to tie it into the sequels, maybe the Emperor's son. Like, because Palpatine's son looks like he's in his 30s, right? Like, and those flashbacks of where.
That would be crazy.
And Rise of Skywalker, I think that would be very interesting. I think that would be a great tie-in. And then it would be cool if like Cal met him, but he didn't know who he was or anything. I think that would be really interesting.
That would be pretty interesting.
No. Because we need more projects that that are that are going on screen. So a show, a game, a movie, something that ties into the sequels more, that makes it more relevant, because having a comic that explains why, not really, but they try to explain why Star Destroyers and a clone are on Exegol in a comic book that not that many people read, is not good enough for me. I think they need more screen stuff, because, for example, they're kind of doing things in Mando where you're just like, oh, okay, I kind of see the tie-in going into the sequels. I get it.
But
And
I think as we talked about before, it's kind of like as soon as it touches that kind of stuff, it's immediately canon, where I feel like they feel a lot more safer when it's in a comic, and you're kind of like, well, we can change that like a little bit later, so it's fine.
But that opens up that timeline. But opens up that plot hole of, oh, hey, when like Darth Vader died and Luke was holding him, then why didn't Vader be like, oh, hey, by the way, on Exegol, there's a bunch of ships over there, and there's a couple of clones of the Emperor where he's planning on putting his soul into them if he dies. So you might want to go over there and help them. And then the other thing is, no joke. Think about this. Ready? Luke talks to Anakin after when he becomes a Force ghost. Why didn't he tell him about Exegol? Because Vader went to Exegol. His mind wasn't wiped or anything. So I'm just saying. So if we end up doing a game, if we end up doing a game like that and involves people that we know, I think it needs to tie into the sequels, and I think the Emperor's Son would be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
that's just me.
What, just like him like escaping being stuck where he is? Like, I mean,
I don't know.
Like, for me, I'm kind of like, if I see it, it's gonna be like, we just saw him like escaping? I would have loved to see him like, I don't know, is he being like trained to be his dad's like successor, or like as in to be the new clone vessel or something, or like what? Like, who is his mom? That's what most people wanted to know, because it's just a clone apparently. Do we know that for a fact?
Someone, if you're watching this and you know it, send us. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I didn't think if he was a clone. If he was a clone of the Emperor, then wouldn't you think he would look more like, young Ian McDiarmid in the movie?
I'm almost for sure he's a clone. Like, I'm almost for sure, but I can't be completely
well, if
for
that's
sure.
true, then even try to make him look like a younger version of.
They're both white. They both have noses, and they both have little amounts of hair.
No, that's dumb.
I'm almost for sure it's a clone, but they just raised him as if it was the
okay.
son.
Well, I'll keep talking. You look it up.
I am.
Jeez. Yeah, because we keep talking about it, but we are gonna get Babu Frick in the third season of Mandalorian, which is pretty cool.
It's a genetically modified clone.
Ugh.
Okay. Okay, cool. The cultists made him. And he's a modified clone.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. I guess
okay.
So. That's it. That's all I got. But yeah, that'd be pretty interesting. Who else do you want to see on? Is there anyone else that you'd be like, oh, I'd love to see that person in a live action setting, but like at a different time period?
I think. Oh man, how? I know they would have to change the canon and everything, but I think it would be a good idea is if we saw Ventress.
Oh, dude, I would love to see Ventress again.
Oh man,
Like, is there any way that we can actually see her live action?
if they ended up doing something, because she died before the events of Revenge of the Sith, I think, because of and the book with Quinlan Voss, and then Quinlan Voss is dealing with. So she would have been a really cool character.
Oh, dude, that'd be amazing to have her on screen again.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Okay. So if she dies before, technically she could. She could still be there. It's before Revenge of the Sith. Oh, so does she actually wait? Is it actually before Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah.
Okay, dang, never mind. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's disappointing.
I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that we could actually properly see on screen. Well, no, I can't think of anyone else that I would want from the game to pop back up. Honestly, I just want some new characters. If it's the same species as other characters, great. But I think like just a whole bunch of new would be great again.
I mean, because there's a lot of people from the Clone Wars and the Rebels that I'm just like, oh, like cool. I would love to see in live action, which sounds like we are getting a lot of those characters in Mando season 3 and Ahsoka. So it's like, okay, cool. Because the minute the Captain Rex shows up live action, people are gonna lose it.
Finally,
like, oh my god, like my childhood dreams are coming true because having characters from their first appearance back in 2008 from a Clone Wars movie on Cartoon Network. I mean that formed into a show that went to Cartoon Network is incredible. And then the fact that Ahsoka is now live action and now we're getting clones live action again. But seeing like Captain Rex is going to be nuts, bro. Seeing Zeb in live action and Hera and all.
Because you've just seen, because I mean, for now, you've only just seen the back of them.
So. Yeah. So it's like, oh, cool. But like, I can't wait to see the giant eyes of Zeb on screen.
Nightmare.
It's like, oh my God, it's a hairless Wookiee. No.
Goodness.
So, yeah. But yeah, no. I'm hoping that we get more.
They have like two versions of their species. I'm almost for sure. Because in the visual novel, they make them look very hairy and interesting looking, whereas what we've seen from like Zeb's side and from Fallen Order is also different. So I'm pretty sure they have two different versions of the way their species looks.
Yeah.
I'm almost for sure. Because in your visual novel that you have, I forget which one that's called.
For the Rise of Skywalker?
Is it only for the Rise of Skywalker?
That's the one I have.
The one that we've all like that we use at
work. That one goes all the way to Last Jedi. There isn't one they made for Rise of Skywalker, I don't think.
Okay, because that one shows, I forget what Zeb's like species is called, but yeah, it shows Zeb species as like a whole bunch of creatures, and then it shows Zeb species, and then we know Zeb species as the one that's also that is Cal Kestis' master. So now I'm kind of confused on what they're trying to do with it. Yeah, if you actually just search up like what Zeb species is, it's there's two different photos, and they look very different from each other.
Wow, it's just like Max Rebo. Wow.
No, that they look exactly the same. It's just if he has legs or not.
Right.
I like to think that he's like two parts together. Like it's two of them just stuck together. Like it's him, it's him and his brother are like two legs. So they just like flip back and forth between each other.
So Ventress joined the light side right before she died from Dooku, and then several months after her death, her and Quillen Vos and Obi-Wan took her body back to Dathomir.
Okay.
Yeah, and then shortly after was the events of Revenge of the Sith, so she never saw. So I don't think we would ever see that action. Yeah. Yep, but let's dive into other sad news. Knights of the Old Republic remake. Guess what? It's not happening, apparently.
For
people on the project have either been let go or they quit, and they don't have enough staffing, and it sounds like it's not getting enough backing on the project, and and that news came out, a couple of days ago, and it's really sad because it was supposed to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive, and some people have bought PlayStation specifically for that, it sounds like, and it's like, nope, that's not happening. So that's very, very sad. But that's the other game that got pushed back. It's not canceled, but it got pushed back, which excited a lot of people when they first dropped the trailer for it, which was Star Wars Eclipse. It was like, oh my gosh, that game looks amazing. And then
they were like, well, it's actually going to take us like 8 years to make it. And everyone's like, oh,
yep.
Okay.
And a other game that got pushed back, which will also push back the Star Wars game that this will be made by the same people is the Avatar game, the open world Avatar.
That one got pushed back, but it isn't by an insane amount, and those are the people that are making the newest that new Star Wars game. So
right, and that Star Wars game will also be open world as well.
That's the one everyone's really excited for. So
I just don't get why they would drop that trailer for Eclipse like that soon, man. Like they like dropped it and were like, oh, that's so cool, and then it's like, guess what? It's not coming out till maybe 26, 28, and you're like, whoa.
In terms of like trying to get hirees, so like you want to have a whole bunch of people that are hired for working on a project, right?
Yeah, I know.
So what you do is you drop a trailer, and then it gets a whole bunch of people really hyped to actually want to work on that project. So when you put a job listing up, a whole bunch of people will hop on board and be able to jump and try and actually start working on the game. I mean, we like that. That's what happened with Cyberpunk's game. Like literally, they dropped the trailer, and they literally had almost 0 people working for them at that time on that project. And the idea was that the trailer would drum up hype for more people to work on it.
Yeah, that was the hope, but we'll have to see. Something else that I hope doesn't happen. Actually, you know what? Here's another game that also got pushed back. Ready? Star Wars Hunters. That's not coming out until next year as well. Man, the Star Wars games are not doing great because of
that's a lot of games right now. But I would have thought we had cleared that COVID bump to where they had stopped blaming it on that.
Yeah,
but we'll have to see.
Yeah, the past couple of Star Wars games have been pushed back a lot. I think the only game that hasn't been pushed back, I mean, I think the last game that was not pushed back before Lego Star Wars was Jedi Fallen Order. And then after that, all these new Star Wars games that were planning on coming out got pushed back because of COVID. But now COVID is, almost gone. It's not as bad as it used to be. So I don't know. It's really sad to see all these games being announced, and they're like, nope, this isn't happening. This isn't happening. There's also the Indiana Jones game coming out. We really hadn't heard anything about it, and I was kind of nervous when they announced that during COVID as well. It was like, okay, you're doing the game, but you have all these other Star Wars games you announced as well that most likely will be canceled. So I don't know. It sounds terrifying, but I'm excited to see where all these games go that are actually happening, because it's a disappointment that Knights of the Old Republic is getting canceled, because that definitely would have been a huge money maker, because a lot of people loved Old Republic, but to see it remastered and everything, people would have flipped out. And then You have Hunters, which I plan a celebration. It's great. It honestly is a mixture of Overwatch and Apex. I mean, not Apex. Like of those arena games, like yeah, and it was good. It was fun, but it's mainly fun if you play with an online group. That was my only thing with it, and then that got pushed back, and then you have Eclipse that got pushed back years. Like I'm not talking about like a year or two. It's like got pushed back years to the release date they were thinking about, which was maybe 23, 24. And I'm like, that's nuts, bro. You should not be announcing a game that soon. And if you do, don't drop a trailer. Like that cinematic was amazing. I was like, dude, that's sick. And it's like, guess what? This isn't coming out for maybe like almost 8 years, dude. It's like, oh, okay.
Cool.
Cool.
Sick. That's what I wanted.
But something that we can count on and that just dropped is the new bounty hunting experience over at Galaxy's Edge. I've tried it. Josh has tried it.
Very fun.
Really, really cool. There's 20.
It's definitely bringing more life back into the land,
yes.
and I think this is definitely something that we needed to keep the stories going throughout Galaxy's Edge, which I'm very, very happy about.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool to talk about more rumors happening around the galaxy due to what's happening there. So that's what I'm very happy about.
Because if you go to Disneyland, you've got that strict. Actually, it's not even strict anymore because of the whole point was to have like this strict timeline between the events of The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. But now they have Boba and Fennec walking around, and this fall or winter you'll be seeing Mando and Grogu but over there. And it's like, that's great, but we want something. And they were like, well, guess what? You are getting something over in Lando, and it's this. And it's really exciting because it's not like a show. Like it's something that you actually have to go and do. And it's a mixture of hide and seek and a hot and cold game. So you again, this is public knowledge. This is out now. It just came out today on July 27th, and you can go and play it. But the only way you do it is if you have a special magic band that they sell at the parks. And depending on which one you get, like design wise, there could be one that is more than the other.
So your normal basic colors are like gonna cost you like I think your normal basic colors cost you like $35, and then the extra editions, which I think there's 2 ones that are Star Wars. Actually, there's like 3 or 4 ones that are Star Wars.
Because there's the Imperial one that has Vader and the Death Star on it. There's the one that has Grogu on it.
Yeah.
And then there's the other one that has the Falcon on it.
Yeah.
I got one today, and it's just
a nice black one.
Yeah, it's just black. So I was like, cool, like awesome. Because of like I would have loved to got a Star Wars one, but I was like, I want to wear this at the other parks. And then if I'm doing a costume or something where I'm just dressing up and going to the park, I'm like, I'm gonna want to, be in theme. So I'll just grab a black one. So I did.
Yeah, that is kind of weird because we don't have any real themed ones yet. I think one of them was meant to, but then they were like, hey, let's just put Baby Yoda on it instead. And then it became unthemed. So I was like, okay, I mean, that works too.
Mm-hmm. But next week, Josh and I are going to record us actually going and doing a couple of the bounties on our Patreon. So if you're not part of our Patreon yet, go and sign up for it. It's a fun experience. We have a lot of content on there. We have a lot more content on the way. And actually, we are going to do a couple of shout outs in a bit for a couple of people that are on our tiers. But let's kind of explain how the bounty hunting works. So you have to buy one of the bands. It can't be one of the normal ones that they have been selling. Like it has to be one of the Magic Plus bands, and you go up to the area over at the guild area, and it's right next to the land speeder garage, and the circle area on the panel is where you hit it, and then it will give which it also has its instructions on there too. Super cool stuff. And you go and scan your band, and then a bounty will pop up on the screen, on the big screen, and then you also use your phone on the My Disney Play app is the name of it, right? Yeah, okay. So you do that, and then your magic band will then light up, and then you start walking around. And at that point, you don't really need your phone out. You can have it in your pocket, and then you just kind of go off your band. So when you're walking around trying to find the bounty, your like band will either glow red or glow green. If it glows green, you're getting closer to where the person is. If it glows red, that means you're walking further away. There are different areas where they could be hiding. For example, if once you find the area, there will be a sound that is made, and then your magic band will end up lighting up purple. You will then pull out your data pad, and it will, say that, hey, it's here. Turn on your thermal scanner, and then you go up and down, and like around the area that you're at, which most likely is a doorway, and you scan it, and then it will show the bounty in the doorway, and then it will say, hey, mission complete, go back and collect your bounty. After you do that, you will go over to
you're basically back to the same place where you picked it up, but right next to it is a little house hut kind of thing,
which is really cool.
This is probably my favorite part. Is you stick your hand into this little piece that has like a little hand scanner, and it will scan your band. A whole bunch of like lasers will come out, scan your hand, and then the Guildmaster will appear. Basically, there's like a little slot. So have you ever seen like in movies with like they go to a secret door, they like bang on the door, and they're like, "What's the password?" Is it like slide a little slot?
Yeah, it's just like that.
It's the same kind of thing. It like slides up, and then she basically like congratulates you on either depending on what bounty you're on, depending on the challenge of the bounty, she'll say different things. And then she gives you credits, and those credits will appear on your device. They also appear just above your hand in like a little text format. So it's pretty cool. You see how many credits you're earning per bounty. Those are going to go on your actual device. And I thought that was pretty cool. And they also show you every bounty that you've done on your device.
Yeah.
They progressively get harder and harder, actually.
The cutscenes are are random too, because of I've only done one, but the one that I did, what's the Guildmaster's name?
I can't remember, actually.
Okay. Well, they were like, you remind me of a old, you remind me of a Mandalorian that I used to know. And it's like, oh, it's a tie-in. And are they talking about Din Djarin or something like that? I was like, oh, cool. And then they have cool. And then they have like a cool laser show that ends up like going on your hands, like on your magic band, like it scans it, and you can actually see the laser, and you're like,
I thought that was really cool.
And I think it's just a cool way to have more interaction with the land, because it's a great way to have some people in your party stay busy, maybe when you're on the ride, and some people in your party like, oh yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not going on because I get motion sickness. They can be like, hey, I'll go bounty hunting and kill some time. And I just think that's a really, really cool thing. And it's exclusive again to Hollywood Studios as of right
is.
now, because at Disneyland they don't have magic bands or anything.
I mean, what's pretty cool is some of the bounties you'll probably know of some of the people.
Yeah.
I do know that one of them is from the Tales from Galaxy's Edge, the VR game, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the bounties is going to be him. There's a couple of other ones, but they're actually really cool. When you figure out how many there actually are, and there's like cool things as well that end up happening. But
Yeah. And again, this is live now. This is all available to the public, so I highly recommend doing it, because Galaxy's Edge is great. And sometimes if you're, an annual pass holder or something, you're like, I love it, but I want something new. This is something new, and it will keep you busy. And it's Star Wars, so it's even better. And it will help you get more immersed into the land. So I highly recommend doing it. We will be doing a couple of missions for our Patreon, so go and check that out.
exciting.
Yeah. Exciting stuff. And something that I hope, which we talked about in the past, but I just like hyping ourselves up, Josh, is hopefully we get to go to Black Spire and Jedi Survivor. Like, I would love that, bro. I would die.
I think that we've both made comments about how much we really want to be able to just have just Black Spire Outposts, but and just Batu in general, through other media that isn't just comic book or like book. That's it. It's only in written form currently right now. I think in a little bit of visual form, but I think in another visual media, like we were going to get in Resistance, never got there. As close as we've come with a video game is Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, the VR game, which I don't think many people have actually ended up playing. So I want more from it, to be honest. I think that would be really exciting for me.
Yeah. I mean, like, I want new planets. And I think we will get some familiar ones. I don't want any of the same planets that we got in the first game. I don't want that. I want then if we do a different location on the planet.
Give me completely new planets. Give me some new fun things I haven't seen before. And like even when we went back to Kashyyyk, we got to see the giant like pterodactyl dragon bird thing, and I was like,
yeah,
awesome! I love this. This is amazing. That like as long as it keeps with that kind of theme, I'm a happy man.
Right, and something else as well is that it was parts of Kashyyyk that we've never seen before. Like deeper in the jungle, it looked more like dark and menacing in the jungle below. But then once you actually got into the trees, it was like, oh my gosh, like this is sick.
So beautiful.
And then in the final part of this episode, Darth Vader will appear in a significant scene in the Ahsoka series. And his suit will look a lot different than what he had in Obi-Wan Kenobi. But we don't know if it's a flashback. We don't know if it's a...
I'm just going to assume it's going to explain how she got pulled from the veil.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt that because, like, I guess it's going to look different because he's getting his helmet cut into. Like, I don't really know.
And apparently it's not a suit that we have seen in live action before. So live action. So I could definitely see them maybe going towards the more Ralph McQuarrie, version of the suit, which we saw in Rebels. So if that's true, then maybe you're right. About the whole thing where maybe we see her having that fight scene in Rebels of her and Vader fighting, and then Ezra pulls her out of that scene. Mm-hmm. We could just see that, but in live action.
That's what I think it's going to be, personally. Like, I don't see them doing like a full, completely new costume we've never ever seen before. I'm like, I would. Yeah, it's Darth Vader.
I would lose it though. Like, of seeing that live action would be nuts.
Well, like I think in just some stupid power armor.
Oh my gosh, bro!
See, that's why I know they wouldn't do that, because you can't just completely change up such an iconic character's, like, that's his costume. Like, he's not going to change that.
Oh, right, but okay. So I went to Star Wars Celebration in 2019, and someone made a Ralph McQuarrie Vader suit, right? And it was beautiful, and having something animated or cartoon or drawn and bringing it to live action is a very hard thing to do. But there are people that can do it. It's just a very difficult thing to do. And seeing that suit to me was, holy crap, like that's amazing. I would love to see that in live action in some way. And again, if we see it in a flashback or something during the early days of Vader, even though Rebels is taking place after Kenobi, so you would think his suit would look a lot, I don't know. Like it would be interesting to go from what we saw at the end of Revenge of the Sith to what we see in Kenobi to having like a Ralph McQuarrie type style in Rebels, which that's animated, but at the same time they could definitely bring some elements of that into live action. It'll be really interesting to see if his suit ended up being what we saw in Rebels, and then you would jump to later day. But I would love to see that. I think Ahsoka is definitely going to be that. It will be that show that will tie in almost everything. And it's not confirmed if they're doing a second season or not. If they do a second season, what do you think they would do? Because in this one, I think it will kind of bring Ahsoka back to the light side. And I think when Tales of the Jedi comes out, I think we'll see more of that side of Ahsoka where we're just like, okay, now we understand why she is the way she is in Rebels and everything. Because we go from the end of season 7 of Clone Wars to where Order 66 and all that stuff. And then you go to the book, and then you go to the events in Rebels, and then you go to what we see her in Mando and in Book of Boba. But I think in Tales of the Jedi, where what we saw in the book was where she fought the Inquisitor, and then she gets his crystals, and then she tries to turn them back to the light, but then she turns them white. And it's like, all right, cool. But seeing that in TV show form is going to be very interesting, because it's not going to make that scene in the book canon anymore. If they do it differently, if they do it the exact same, then that's something. But we've seen them do stuff where the story is different, from the book, and then bring into canon. Because if you watch Bad Batch, it's a fine example of, oh, hey, guess what? Here is Kanan. Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, and then it's like, no, actually, we're not doing that.
This is actually how it happened.
Yep.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll have to see. Oh, yeah, I just got your message of the subspecies of Zeb.
It doesn't say that it's a subspecies of, was it Lasat? Lasat? Okay. Yeah, it doesn't say it's like a subspecies. That's just what the live action one looks like.
Well, that's
why I'm like,
I mean, yes, because I mean, okay, so here's what we know is that the design behind Chewie was supposed to look like Zeb, and then and that was designed by Ralph McQuarrie, and the whole point
too ugly.
Yeah, and the whole point of the animation for Rebels was it was supposed to be based off of that Ralph McQuarrie style, and that's where they're like, well, let's bring the original design for Chewie, but make him a different character. And then in Force Awakens, they're like, well, we've got this. I didn't know that. I didn't know art. That's something.
What, that we've seen his species?
Well, in live action, is that 100% confirmed? Because
that's what his species looks like
in live action of
that's what that's what his species is called, and that's what it says in the visual novel or book that you have. So that's why I was kind of like,
I mean, hey, if it's canon, but and that, I guess that kind of ties into what it's a mixture of Wookiee and Zeb, because it's got hair, but it's got that weird, strange face that Zeb has.
And that's why we were talking about how it doesn't look. Yeah, like it doesn't look like it's. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's either one of them. I felt like it was like an separate like subspecies, but it doesn't say it. So I guess that's the way it is right now.
Okay.
Interesting enough. Although, did he look like that when he was on screen when you saw him?
You like saw him in the background, dude. It was really quick, man. Like it, like and a lot of people like were shouting in the crowd, "Show it again!" And they were like, "No, like
please,
no,
bro, I need to film
no,
it this time."
This is one and done. If you were paying attention, you were paying attention. I saw Hera, but then for a split second, I saw Zeb, and I was like, "Oh!" And then it was like, and the next scene, I'm like, "Crap!" And there were some people that did record it. And I'm surprised that the Celebration police weren't on it because I have you ever been to like a big convention before?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So every time that they show exclusive footage, like it's like clockwork. Like as soon as they dim the lights and everything, these people wearing like black suits will walk up like in every single aisle with a flashlight. And like if they even see a glimmer of light, they will be on you like within seconds of being like, "Phone away, you're getting kicked out, or I will pull you out." And it's like, dang, bro. So half of these people that did record it, I'm so surprised.
Hey, I mean, I've been super surprised that it's been this long until they still haven't released any of it.
No,
it's been such a long time. You would have thought.
I am thinking they're just waiting until the 23. I think that makes the most sense, and that also makes sense for Phase 6 for Marvel, because they announced, Fantastic Four, like at the release date for it. And it's like, oh, cool, great. But and then they released the other Avenger movies, and you're like, all right, cool. But how about the X-Men? How about all these other characters? So it's like, okay, well, most likely they will drop most of Phase 6 and at D23, because that's what they did in the past at the last one back in 2019.
So the most important project is going to be put there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think they'll do something very similar for Star Wars, because I think we'll meet the cast of Skeleton Crew. I would be baffled if we didn't. And then because if we don't meet them then we'll meet them over at Celebration in London, which that's happening next year. So far, there's 3 of us that are going to that.
Exciting.
Yeah. Which after that, I'm hoping in 2024 that it ends up being in Florida. If it doesn't end up being in Florida, I'm gonna be so mad, bro.
It's the love of Jesus, please.
Yeah.
Nah, actually, it's gonna be in like Dubai.
That would be nuts.
Hey, man, I think that'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, because of the convention center here in Florida is like, no joke. Like in Orlando, it's about maybe 15 to 20 minutes away from Disney World, and that's what people did in 2017. Was they would just hop on a bus and be like, "I'm going to Star Tours and I'm going to ride it."
Wouldn't that be
24/7?
Yeah, wouldn't that just be so helpful?
Yeah.
If we could just be like, "Yep, this is the way it's gonna go."
Because I was so blown away. I was sitting, there. Some people were like, "Oh, it's gonna be in London." I'm like, "No, it's gonna be in Orlando. It's gonna be great." And then the guy who plays Rupert Friend, who plays the Grand Inquisitor and Kenobi, he's like, "It's gonna be in my hometown in London." And then I'm like, "In London?" And
you what?
half of the crowd was just like, "Yeah, what?" Like, whoa, oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, cool.
I listen. I get it, because in a way, London was kind of like the birthplace of Star Wars, because
it's cool that it's in London. It's just it becomes more and more difficult the more you go out of the country, out of America. So people are like, "No," but it's kind of like, well, yeah, it's eventually going to have to happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as busy as as Celebration is in the States, because, well, actually, you know what? I don't even know if I can compare it because I've never been overseas. I've only heard about about how they do conventions overseas, but I've never actually experienced it. So I think in London it's going to be really interesting.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, depending on the convention, I'd be very interested in just seeing how crazy it's going to get over
there. Yeah, no, I'm really excited to experience it. The OG people are going, so it's like David, James, and I, and I think we're in for a treat because we've never experienced anything like that before.
But if you guys have never been out of the country?
I have not. I don't know if James or David has. I think David said that this was his first because he just signed up for his passport, which I still need to do, and I need to get on that. But yeah,
silly goose.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be
nuts. Hey, get to meet some international fans, hopefully.
Yeah. I actually, you know what? I think we actually have a couple of people on our from our Patreon that were like, hey, like we'll be there. Speaking of which, we wanted to give a couple of shout outs to the people on our Patreon. We love doing what we do, and you guys help make that happen. So from all of our tiers, we have Chris Simpson. Oh, dude, I'm not gonna be able to say some of these. Crap. Kevin, you know what? I will just send this list over to Josh and see if he can. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Hang on. All right, Josh, here.
Not the reading side. All right, let me see this. See if we can actually say this right. All right, let's butcher some names. All right.
Say the second one.
Liam McCallum?
No. No, on the purples one where it was like Chris Simpson.
And then we got Kevin, and we have Devin, and we have Drew.
Mick, Devin, Drew, and then we have Liam.
Kevin, Devin, and Drew. And then on our red side is going to be Liam, and then we also have
we have Matt Heath,
Fenrir,
Maya Morris, and then we have Maka, Tala. I'm so sorry, guys. Nathan Shank, and then
Maka Tautula.
Heaven is it Paker or Packer? I'm gonna say Paker.
That's a great question. We butchered those. We're beautiful on that one. That was beautiful.
Dude,
thank you.
For sure. I don't know why they would have the guy that like stutters a lot read these. I think that was a terrible idea. But yeah, so guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being part of our Patreon, and for everyone that listens to our podcast. Thank you so much. We are on Patreon, of course, but we're also on Instagram at Star Wars Stuff Podcast. We're on Twitter at Stuff Pod. We're on TikTok, Star Wars Stuff Podcast. Facebook, we have great groups on there. And then please email us. We love hearing from you guys. StarWarsStuff@gmail.com. And then we're on Audible.
Wow. Hey, Audible.
audibletrial.com/stuff podcast. There are great books on there. A lot of the books of the High Republic are on there. And if you want to keep staying up to date with the canon, I would definitely read those. There's a couple of the Black Spire books on there. Honestly, really good reads. Check them out. And please go on Apple Podcast and give us a review. And we're on YouTube, Star Wars Stuff Podcast, and then you have the 5 stars on app. Sorry, I don't know why. And then we're on Twitch, SW Stuff 77, and then we have our own website, stuffpodcastnetwork.com. guys, again, we love you all so much. Thank you. Josh, do you see this comment?
I'm Slim Shady. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. We love you all. Oh gosh. May the force be with you always.